Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Kate. Excellent presentation. Thank you, and thank you, Bonnie, for inviting me to be part of the panel today. And of course, thank you to SSP for letting us have the opportunity to have the forum to talk about contextual inquiry. I'm Chris Burghardt with Thomson Reuters. I manage the product and content strategy for the Web of Science, which is part of the Intellectual Property and Science division of Thomson Reuters. I have over 20 years experience in product management, focusing on new product development, not only in the information industry. I also have experience at Wolters Kluwer as a publisher. What Bonnie says is true about many of these concepts and techniques really starting in the consumer packaged goods and other industries. I have experience at General Mills and Mattel, and also GlaxoSmithKline pharmaceutical product development as well. And I'll say that much of where we're going today with contextual inquiry, really other industries are far ahead of us. When I worked at Mattel, in El Segundo, California, there's a lab, so they've actually brought contextual inquiry approaches right into the corporate home, right into their environment. When you walk in the first floor, there's a toy lab, and every day there are children and mothers interacting with toys, not only Mattel toys, but all types of new products and concepts. And really, that's really observing is believing, and really understanding what your preferences are for your users and what they really value. Really all starts with observation as well. So first, a little bit about Thomson Reuters. Thomson Reuters is a company that provides information platforms in 5 different verticals. In the financial area, we provide information for traders and investors, for corporate governance. Our flagship platform there is the Thomson Reuters Icon. In legal, we provide resources for the practice of law and also the business of managing law firms as well with our Westlaw. Of course, everyone knows the Reuters News organization. We have over 200 locations globally, as well as reach a billion people on a daily basis with Reuters News Media. In tax and accounting, we have very comprehensive resources for tax and accounting through our checkpoint. And then really relevant to today's conversation is really IP and science, which is where I work. So not only managing the basic research and academic research in the Web of Science, but the full life cycle of innovation with resources for pharmaceutical drug discovery like Cortellis, workflow solutions like EndNote, as well as ScholarOne, and then Thomson Innovation for IP protection. Now, this is important. As we position everything we do in our company, it's all about trusted information and really empowering our customers to really act with confidence. And that's, if you think about every solution that we bring to market, that's what we're trying to accomplish. Now it'll become a little more relevant as I get into my presentation and some of the points of how we decided to apply contextual inquiry within Thomson Reuters. So that's really what I'm going to focus on today, is really more the practical application of contextual inquiry, specifically with the Web of Science. And we set out to really, like I think Bonnie mentioned, don't start out with preconceived notions. Well, how could you not start off with some type of hypothesis about what you want to learn? And a couple things we wanted to learn were really what were researchers looking for in terms of how they would keep current. There were ways that we could really address unmet needs in the market for researchers, how they could keep current with not only with research but also maybe with current affairs that would apply to their work. We also wanted to also understand how different information sources and information types of sources that researchers were using were really important in how they work together. So where were their expansion opportunities? So we're applying contextual inquiry here in this context really to understand new product development and where we should really place our focus for resources. So Bonnie did lay out this type of basic framework. We follow a very similar type of framework for contextual inquiry that really all starts with identifying customer segments. In this case, we have a very broad use base for Web of Science. It's a multidisciplinary platform, a citation index that really is a database of literature output. So we had to really address, if we really wanted to understand the full user base, we had to address not only physical science, also social sciences, and also medical science as well. We also have a full, we had to understand the full range of life cycle of researchers, so early stage researchers, mid stage, and late stage as well. So we actually went out to 18 researchers in this research. We felt that was sort of we want to have at least a critical mass of really understanding through the full spectrum of our customer persona base. It does all start with ethnographic observations. You've seen some of the work earlier and how that works. And then importantly, observing in the environment. So it's really important to get into the environment of your user base. And what we started with is a team of individuals internally. So this is a team of 6, 4 individuals from Thomson Reuters, product management, marketing, user design, as well as product development as well, and then 2 external experts as well to help us with this. So the sessions were essentially 2-on-1, so a professional as well as a Thomson Reuters employee, and working one-on-one with researchers to observe their how they were working in their environment. The debriefing sessions, it's important that everyone comes together, so all 6 team members are part of every debriefing session. We made that mandatory. We want to make sure there's shared learning, that there's no misunderstanding as we go through all 18 of these researchers as well. And then, if you saw earlier on Bonnie's slides, we had sticky notes. So I guess 3M has made those for many years and others. So buy stock in those types of companies that have those sticky notes, because as this technique takes off, you'll burn through a lot of sticky notes as well. And we view this as more of an iterative process. So once we really went through this, we had more questions. So it's back to, so it's sort of a wash, rinse, repeat cycle, if you will, for how we approach this as well. And then finally, once we have insights and there's a common agreement with the 6, that gets socialized across the company, relevant developers, product team, other researchers. Of course, we bring other research into this to cross-validate our assumptions, make sure that we're really focusing on what's driving value for our users and ultimately commercial value for Thomson Reuters, and we go into an envisioning of solutions. This is really the start, and then it moves into the development cycle, where again you can apply these techniques as you start to really have more questions when you have to make decisions and trade-offs throughout the product development process as well. So like I mentioned with Web of Science, we really wanted to get inside our users' minds. Part of it is really getting right into the workspace of the researcher. I think you've heard from all 3 of us, that's probably one of the most important takeaways. This can't be done in a conference room. You can't bring the audience to your offices. You have to get out to where they are. So I've done a contextual inquiry not only at Thomson Reuters, I've done it in other companies. I've been in attics where people have worked. I've been in nursing floors in hospitals. I've been at kitchen tables, of course, offices and libraries and laboratories. And it's just, the one thing I'll say is it's just rewarding if you haven't done this, it's just so rewarding to get out there and watch your users in action. And the first time someone does this, when they come back to a debriefing session, they just can't stop talking, and they can't stop really highlighting what they learned and how excited they are about bringing that back into the development process and even the marketing process as well. So I think there's a whole cultural element to this that really is important too, that I saw really pay off in the organizations that adopt contextual inquiry. So here's just a sample of what the takeaways were for Web of Science, and we went into this with an open mind as much as possible, but we're really hoping that we can really own a lot of the workflow for the researcher, and that we hope maybe we're going to be able to replace some of what they're doing today. And what was really clear to us is that we have to adapt into the user's workflow. We're not going to change the user's workflow. So there were certain principles that we found that very happy with their email systems. We're not going to give them a new email system. That's probably an obvious one. If they have a reference management program they like, you have to work within that. And then Google, of course. It's a place where all of us start, many of us start, but it's never the place where you stop. You're using Google to get to an authoritative destination or some credible source, no matter who you are in society. In the research world, you're looking for that credible source to provide validation for whatever it is your particular use is for that information. We also, we knew researchers wanted to get to full text quickly, but we were really overwhelmed by how quickly they really do want to get to full text, and they don't care where it comes from. And that's something that we realized that we had to really provide the best pathway, and that firewalls and passwords are really a detriment and were really a stumbling block for researchers as well. And then finally, we had many products that we offer to the market, not just Web of Science. We have journal citation reports. We have other analytic products. And we always had these products as a portfolio of products where we expected our users to jump from, there would be a link from Web of Science out to journal citation reports to go get more journal information. Well, we learned that really wasn't, there was a point of frustration because there was some very key information that really should be brought into the context of where the user was in the workflow. So it's not just about adapting to workflows external to your products, but also looking at the workflows within your products and how can you bring those together in a very, a very seamless way without overwhelming the user with too much information. So here's a few examples. So part of our takeaway was we formed a relationship with Google Scholar. And we recognized that that there was an opportunity for us to, as a researcher was doing a Google Scholar search, that we could have Web of Science citations, and then from there, a link right into the Web of Science. And so this was important that researchers were using Google as their first point of, an easy point of search. When we were out with researchers, we realized even though they might be in their library site on their desktop computer, if they're even in Web of Science or in one of any other databases, when they want to do a quick search or when they wanted to answer information quickly, they tend to always migrate back to a Google-type search, and Google Scholar particularly, we observed that over and over again. So we felt it was very important for us to adapt and also integrate with that experience, not try to replace that experience for the user. Once in the Web of Science, we saw a lot of frustration not only with Web of Science, but also that there need to be much easier ways to get to full text. And there's a number of ways we go about this. There's likely many more improvements that we'll make and others will make over time. But we realized that there was an opportunity to have a very seamless pathway back into the Google Scholar environment. This example here is actually Drexel University. So Drexel, and I believe there's over 4,000 universities that have registered their OPACs and their library catalogs with Google. So there's a very seamless entry point for those who are authenticated by IP range right into the full text holdings from that university. Also, Google does an excellent job of recognizing open access as well, so it really became a real single point of search coming right into the full text environment. So a first step, I think, in improving the process. I think there's a lot more to be done in this area as well. And finally, looking at the interaction between our products at Thomson Reuters, looking at Web of Science, and we've always had some journal information in our pages. This is a record view in Web of Science. And what we realized from observing researchers is that when they wanted to really validate this journal and say, tell me more about this, what's the impact factor for this journal? How does it rank in its category? What category is it in? What are some other competing journals, perhaps, that I'd like to look at? So we recognized that there was a pain in moving into a whole other product and then searching and navigating to information. So just bringing in a very simple overlay at this point of the user's workflow in our product. So this is just one example. There are many others that we took out of the research and brought into the product as well. So how can you get started? So first off, learn more about contextual inquiry. You're here today, that's a good first start. There are a number of books in the market. The book I started with was Rapid Contextual Design. So if you Google that was a pretty good book. I thought as a basic entry information to contextual inquiry and also contextual design. Those terms will go hand in hand as you'll learn more about this. Of course, any one of us are happy to, Kate offered to be, I think, product management's a good advocate for this, but I think I certainly would be happy to, anyone's interested, to follow up afterwards personally. I think secondly, you get professional help, and I think of this in three levels. First off, you could hire a company to do this. That's expensive. I think that's something that is probably difficult to repeat over and over again from a budget perspective. But I think really getting professional help, hiring a company, and integrating that into your operation is really the best approach. So not only do you use internal resources, but you couple that with external expertise, learn the techniques, and then it becomes something that you can apply internally for smaller, light projects. Still, I think you want experts involved for more complex projects, particularly with a large number of observations to really to manage as well. And then finally, if you're looking to hire resources as well, if you're hiring product managers, hiring someone who's going to work on UX for your organization. I think it's important to look for someone who has some type of background in this or has a real affinity for this, because I think it really becomes a cultural aspect. It's not something that is a one and done. You're not going to do this research and then never do it again. This is something that's really very repeatable, and to be effective, I think you have to stay on top of the preferences of your user base, and it will change over time. So staying on top of that is really important as well. And then finally, aligning to business value. It's really important to take what you've learned and not just automatically put that into your product. You have to really understand, well, if we make these changes to our product, if we adapt our product, what's going to be the real benefit in terms of either payoff in terms of usage, in terms of commercial value, but it's something that not only helps with the project, but also helps get the internal resourcing as well to fund these types of projects. So thank you very much for your attention. I think we're going to return now to some Q&A with the panel.